Tonight, on Live from the Theater Basement, our correspondent Jamie Hassapis talks with Interference Series in Flagstaff. This performance series aims to present the work of local, national, and international artists that are experimental, avant-garde, or radical in nature. Well, what does all that mean? We're about to find out. Interference Series, tonight on Live from the Theater Basement.
Experience an elevated senior living lifestyle at The Bluffs in beautiful Flagstaff, Arizona. Imagine an intimate and authentic retirement lifestyle enhanced by custom-tailored 5-star quality service in an upscale community at the edge of a picturesque mountain. The Bluffs in Flagstaff, Arizona.
I'm your host, Chris Verrill. Tonight, our correspondent Jamie Hassapis talks with Interference Series curator Owen Davis. What is Interference Series? Well, it's avant-garde art and giving it a place to be and to be expressive. Interference Series, here on Live from the Theater Basement.
Thanks, Chris. Owen, how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you, Jamie.
Oh, welcome. I'm so glad. I've been wanting to interview you for quite a while. Can you tell us a little bit about the Interference Project? I think that's the name of it. Right?
Interference Series.
Okay, the series.
Yeah, so I moved back to Flagstaff after 2 years of grad school in Chicago. And in Chicago, I always say that I learned as much from the city and its art scene as I did from school itself. There was a stretch of time that I went to an improvised music concert or experimental music or just a performance of some form or medium almost every night. Like you could go 7 days a week if you want to. And so I spent so much time just exploring the city, getting plugged into the community, the arts community. And I really witnessed firsthand the power of having a music series, having something consistent that's there for the community that people can come back to again and again. And in particular with experimental music, that at times, if you're just walking into it cold, can maybe be a little confusing or even confrontational. But when you see it made live and you see kind of behind the scenes, it's really mesmerizing and curious and inspiring, and I wanted to, coming back to Flagstaff, I wanted to create that opportunity for the Flagstaff community. Something that I always say too is that Flagstaff, I feel as though Flagstaff deserves to have a diverse arts community, and that includes experimentation and improvised music. We have folk music, we have, a long tradition of Celtic music,
right,
all bluegrass, and I just wanted to kind of expand what we as Flagstaff had to offer.
Yeah, and so what can people expect when they go to your performances? Well, not your performance, but your guest performances. And how can they prepare themselves for it?
Ooh, okay, 2 really great questions. And that actually gives me another kind of like tagline that I have, and that is to expect the unexpected. So to give an example, in normal times, meaning outside of a global pandemic, we usually have 3 to 4 performances a month. And 1 week you could come and see a group of local improvisers, a group of local musicians getting together and making music for the first time together in a very dynamic way, right? And they're literally playing together and making music in the moment, right? Like almost like pure free improvisation. And then the next week you could come back and we have a Korean percussionist who I'm citing this man named Dongwon Kim, who is part of the Silk Road Ensemble and plays with Yo-Yo Ma, and he's doing a solo concert. And so what I've learned to love about experimental music, or this kind of umbrella, this conceptual umbrella, is that experimental music is very broad in its definition, and it's a very wide tent to welcome artists in. And so if I were to, maybe guide someone or prepare someone coming to a concert, is just be open to seeing something new, and to maybe seeing something confusing, but to actually ask questions too. For a long time, I made sure to have like talkbacks with the artists afterwards and just answer questions and kind of demystify the whole thing. Right? Like, oh, what was that sound that you were making? Oh, it actually was this, and they get to explain that too. So yeah, just be curious, I think, is the main thing I would tell people.
It kind of reminds me a little bit about the beat period of poetry.
Yes.
Where you're taking, a lot of it was improv, you all see the bongos and all that, and then the poet on stage, really hip. But with this, what type of instrumentation are you singing? And things are coming. Is there voice? Is it all instrumental, strings? What are you doing, or is there a combination of that?
I would say a combination. And so, for example, I'll just cite a few projects that come to mind. In 2019, we featured this artist named Sam Lopez, who has a project where he's Latino, and he has this project where he's actually trying to come into contact with like Chicano roots, and so he like actually makes his own masks, and he plays ukulele, and then he it's almost like a singer-songwriter, but with this ritualistic aspect to it, and then that same year we presented noise artists from New Orleans, and noise music proper is most of the time electronic. So they're using like just mixing boards and computers and guitar effects pedals to create like live, almost improvised electronic music. And so at the same time, we've also featured more contemporary classical music coming out of that tradition of classical music. So we've had solo violinists, and we've had like a trumpet and clarinet duet. And this is a goal for me too, and a challenge, is to present a diverse set of instrumentation. And on that note too, is also challenging myself to present not just musicians. I'd like to call it a experimental performance.
So almost like doing performance art.
Yes,
very much
exactly.
like was like the 80s in LA.
Yes, for sure. And we've had like performance artists proper on the series. We've had dancers, we've had poets. And so being a musician, and myself and Rob Wallace, the other curator, we both come out of the music community, and that's who we feature a lot. But I think we always try to challenge ourselves to expand beyond those mediums as well.
Okay, great. Now, you're going to start back up in March, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, so we're a little early on talking about it, but I really want to get people interested in that new art form, I guess you could say, that's here in Flagstaff. It's around 2 years, right?
The Interference series?
Yeah, series.
So it started in 2015.
In 2015?
Yeah, so
okay.
6-7 years
okay.
we've been around. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, over the summer, you have a cool project that you're going to be doing over at Thorpe Park.
Yes.
And I really want you to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so we applied for a project grant from Creative Flagstaff, and the funds from this are supporting a project where I'm going to be the role of composer, but also the role of kind of facilitator and community organizer. And so one of the things I'm lucky to do in the Flagstaff community as well as be an elementary music teacher. And so I'm going to kind of tap into that resource. And we are really lucky at Thorpe Park here in Flagstaff to have this very large interactive instrument kind of as a permanent installation there. And so what I'm going to do is do some research on my own and with some collaborators, my friend Rob Wallace, and basically create an open score for children, specifically students, young adults in the Flagstaff community, creating a framework for them to play this instrument together. And the idea here is community music, like making music together as like an act of being together and making art. And I think, especially coming out of COVID, we've all learned how important community is.
Yes.
and being together. And it really helps too that it's already in an outdoor space. And so hopefully that will help with like mitigation of things. in terms of safety.
So with that, there's different percussive instruments in that area, in the playground there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so like a xylophone, some other things such as that.
Yeah, there's like drums, there's xylophone, there's kind of like large bell chimes, and I'm also thinking of augmenting those with some maybe like DIY or almost like toy instruments, maybe like little recorders or flutes or handheld percussion instruments that can allow more people to play along with those main instruments as well, because those are kind of fixed and finite in terms of how many people can play, and I want as many people as possible. So maybe we can make I'm actually thinking of the piece as a game. Like, here's a game that we're going to play together, and you do this, and then you do this, and creating a framework for really playing together at the same time as making a composition.
That's exciting to me.
I'm excited about it.
So we're coming close to closing up. So can you tell me what venue are you guys using for your performances, so people can look for you, and where can they find out?
Yes. Okay, great question. Thank you. The main place is interferenceseries.org. It's kind of the main hub of everything. We also are very active on our Facebook page and our Instagram page, and it's just Interference Series on Facebook, Interference Series on Instagram. That's where we have like a mailing list, but those are the main places to look out for events. In terms of a venue, we actually don't have a devoted space. That's one of our hopes and dreams for the next 5 years, is to find a committed space to call our home. In the meantime, we actually do enjoy getting to go into different spaces and collaborate with different organizations, whether it's Creative Flagstaff at the CCA, or, for example, our kind of large event of our season is we're bringing in this artist named Tomika Reed and her quartet. And it's a jazz quartet, but they come out of the free improv background and lineage. And Tomika Reed in particular is, I think a good word is a heavy hitter. She's a heavy hitter in the community.
I've heard of her music, and it's great.
Yes,
yeah.
And so she's actually going to be in Kit Recital Hall at NAU.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, and so we were able to book that space with Chris Finney through NAU Jazz as well.
Right.
And so NAU, throughout the years, Rob Wallace is a professor in the Honors College. We've been able to build that relationship with the School of Music and also the Honors College.
Well, great. Well, thank you for joining me tonight here on Live from the Theater Basement.
12 Angry Jurors, an Emmy Award-winning American stage masterpiece. A penetrating examination of America's deep-seated cultural differences, featuring one of the greatest heroes of literature. 12 Angry Jurors, playing this January through February at Theatrikos. Tickets now available at theatrikos.com.
Our correspondent, Jamie Hassabis, with Interference Series curator, Owen Davis. This is the beautiful part about this show. We get to bring you lots of wonderful new artists right here in Northern Arizona. Live from the Theater Basement, producer Linda Sotera, engineer Matt Brewer. Matt Brewer got this whole thing up and running. We certainly appreciate that work. Technicians Ava Haynes and AJ Maniglia. Associate producers Virginia Brown, Joe Maniglia, and Michael Rouland. Correspondents Mackenzie Chase, Jamie Hassabis, and Lynn Timmons Edwards. Crew Angela Keith, Justin Moscow, and Jamie Gray Stanton. Dramaturgy Theatrikos Artistic Committee. Play Curation, Northern Arizona Playwriting Showcase, Executive Producer Chris Farrell. Live from the Theater Basement, streaming live on Sunday evenings at 7:30 p.m. and available wherever you get your podcast. Our technician Ava says our audience is going up. That's great to hear. Anyway, the show is a production of Theatrikos Theatre Company in partnership with Northern Arizona Playwriting Showcase and Deuteron Films. Theatrikos Theatre Company, Flagstaff, Arizona, is the theater company of Northern Arizona and the Grand Canyon, embracing the spirit of Broadway with such timeless classics as 12 Angry Jurors, now playing just one more weekend. It closes on February 13th. 12 Angry Jurors, a timeless classic and timely in today's conflicted times. Live from the Theater Basement, the weekly podcast streaming show from Theatrikos Theatre Company, alternates between 10-minute short plays and interviews with Arizona arts leaders. If you as a listener viewer have input, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at theater@theatrikos.com. Live from the Theater Basement, streaming on Sunday evenings at 7:30 p.m. and available wherever you get your podcasts, is funded in part by Creative Flagstaff, formerly the Flagstaff Arts Council, and the Arizona Community Foundation. Additional funding from Arizona Commission on the Arts, Flagstaff 365, BBB revenue from the City of Flagstaff, Calf Country Radio, and patrons of the arts like you. Thanks for joining us tonight on Live from the Theater Basement. This is Theatrikos. Coming up next week on Live from the Theater Basement, hey, it's a 10-minute play called What They Call Evolution. This show is brilliant. It is not going to be Theatrikos The Burn. It is going to be What They Call Evolution, a 10-minute play told from the perspective of, get this, the perspective of two dogs. An old dog who's in his last days and a young puppy who's got the vibrancy of youth. And I tell you, I have seen this show on stage and it is brilliant. Amy Lucas and Tony Sotera play the two dogs and it is wonderful. We're going to take February 13th off. We're taking February 13th off because, it's the last day of 12 Angry Jurors. It's the first tech day of the burn. So the date is February 20th. February 20th, What They Call Evolution. Wonderful 10-minute play right here on Live from the Theater Basement.